Welcome to the Quality Queer Ducks podcast.
I'm Martha.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Sydney.
And today's episode is going to be on different serial killers.
Yeah, and the theories and stuff, 'cause some of these are
yeah.
unsolved.
Yes.
And some of them are still wandering about.
Yeah, which, that's great, you know, love
So
that.
lovely.
Mm-hmm.
We do need to put a disclaimer in before we start the pod.
Yeah, because there's going to be, like, discussions of death, murder, gore, death of children.
Rape.
Rape, sexual assault, serial killers, obviously, blood, poor law enforcement action, and interference, and cannibalism, and related topics.
So please be careful.
Yeah, and during the episode, there may be, like, jokes and comments, etc., that may be offensive to the viewer, so take note of that. If you get triggered easily by that kind of stuff, maybe watch a different episode, because this might not be for you. So yeah.
We want all of you to feel welcoming and comfort. And some people do like this stuff, some people don't. So do not watch forward if you do not do well with these topics, please.
Yeah, and this won't be the only thing that we record or the only thing that we talk about throughout the entire season, so you'll definitely find something else that you're interested in, so you don't have to watch this. And none of the jokes or anything are supposed to be taken seriously, or any of the comments are not made with ill intention, and we definitely send our condolences and respect to the people that are affected by these cases. So now that we've got that out of the way, that was a little serious. I feel like that's the most serious we're gonna be on this podcast ever.
Yes. Yep. This is all shits and giggles.
Yes.
So I'm going to start off first. Hi, I'm Martha.
You
as if you yourself. As if you didn't know that already.
Oh my god, hi Martha.
Oh my god, hi
Hello,
guys.
So nice to meet you.
I was about to say, I've never seen you before.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
God, I've seen you before.
That's a little weird.
Okay.
You too, Sydney.
Oh. Are you a stalker?
I like to think more of myself as a tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the case.
Yeah.
Onto the case.
Before we get distracted.
So, my serial killer is Pedro Lopez. He was linked to more than 300 murders in Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically called him the Colombian killer.
Okay.
He also had some other names, such as, like, just child rapist or the gray man, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of targeted tribal women and preteen girls.
Oh, we don't like that.
Ew.
Definitely ew. So he had a minimum of 110 victims.
Jesus
Ew.
Christ.
So the weird thing about him is, you know, obviously killed people, everything in that esque.
Oh. Also trigger warning for, like, pedophilia and stuff. There's gonna be lots of talk about, like, grown men being interested in younger women, and boys, so, yeah.
We do not tolerate that.
No, absolutely
not
not.
at all.
That will
We do
mess
not-
someone up.
Yeah, no, but just, like, heads up, so. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Thank you. So I forgot to mention the years that this was coming into context. It was 1969 to 1980. But he spent over 20 years in prison after he got caught.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he got caught with a preteen girl
Oh,
who he released to, like, you know, let her go. And, you know, obviously she told the police and everything
Good
like
for
that.
her.
Yes.
Yeah, we stand that.
Yes. I am very
Slay.
glad that she made it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to everyone who was a victim to him, I do feel very bad for them, and I hope that they are okay wherever they might be in the afterlife. So he spent, you know, not even 20 years in prison, and his release was in 1998. But nobody knows where he went.
Oh.
And nobody knows if he's still alive or where he is. So that is kind of a creepy thing. Like, did he go back to Colombia? Did he flee to somewhere else where he wouldn't be
went
known?
somewhere else.
Yeah, I feel like he probably would have fled at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was really short, but there wasn't too much on him.
It is kind of scary, though.
Yeah, I agree.
It's presumed, allegedly, over 300 victims. That's wild.
Yeah, which 110 were, like, confirmed that he did it.
Damn.
So I wouldn't put it past him that he had over 300.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But mine was kind of short, but I feel like it's still total lot, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if he got out after 20 years, he's definitely still doing this shit. Like, there's no way he just stopped and, like...
No, unless he's dead.
Unless he's dead.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I hope he's dead.
Yeah, me
Fuck
too.
you.
I do hope he's dead. Because, honestly, I will never understand why people do this, but they do.
Me neither.
And it sucks.
All right, is it my turn?
It is
my
Leah's turn.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about Elizabeth Bathory. Also, I'm just going to put another little disclaimer. A lot of these are like foreign names, so if I pronounce them wrong, I apologize, but I'm trying my best. All right. So she is seen as the most prolific female serial killer, said to have killed over 600 girls. A lot of people say that her story may have been exaggerated because of the time, and like she was a witch and just not a good person, so a lot of people were out to get her, which is like cool, I guess. Yeah, but a little background on her. She was born in 1560 in the Hungarian town of Nyberbader. Yeah. She spent her childhood in the Essex Castle. She was very educated and had a prominent social rank due to her family. She lived a materially luxurious childhood. Her family was very wealthy and was a dynasty that controlled Transylvania. Although she lived a really good childhood in regards to wealth and status, she had epilepsy that at the time they didn't really know what epilepsy was. So they just called it falling sickness, and the treatments were very, very interesting. They would rub the blood of those without epilepsy on the person with epilepsy's lips, along with a little piece of their skull, which I think is interesting.
It's like the opposite of bloodletting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people claim that she was trained to be cruel. She would witness the servants of the castle getting beat by her parents if they didn't do certain tasks correctly or acted out of line. She would witness executions, the first one being at the age of 6. Allegedly, sorry, there's a hair on my tongue. She got pregnant out of wedlock at the age of 10. 10 years old.
I mean, I feel like back then that was kind of
normal, like as soon as you got
but for
your period,
now, like that's nuts. That's insane.
Yeah. When she had the kid, it was given to a trusted family friend, and they were paid off a good sum of money. So obviously they wouldn't say anything. And for the kid, this is just a rumor, but there is evidence from her, like on her body, that she did have a kid that young. On May 8th, 1575, Elizabeth, at 13, got engaged to the Count Ferenc. That's what we're gonna call him. Frank. Can I just call him Frank? Okay. Yeah. So his name is Ferenc Nadasdy. So if you want to look that up, go ahead. But I'm just gonna call him Frank. Elizabeth got engaged to Frank. He was from another very influential Hungarian family. They married just 2 years later, having 4 children. Allegedly, I'm going to say that a lot in this speech. Allegedly, they had a really good marriage. They were both kind of sick people, so the sick people kind of get along with each other.
Yeah.
He actually was the one who schooled Elizabeth in torture. He was the one who,
Frank. That's nice.
Yep.
How romantic.
Yeah. Frank even gifted Elizabeth gloves with spikes on them so she could beat her disobedient servants.
You know what, babe? I'm not gonna get you a diamond ring. I have something even better.
A torture device.
I'm gonna teach you how to kill people.
Yeah.
Isn't that so fun?
That's what I want for my honeymoon.
Spiky ass gloves.
Spiky ass gloves. Yeah.
3 years after their marriage, Frank became commander of the Hungarian troops, leading him against the Ottoman Empire.
That's not good.
No, not at all. Leaving Elizabeth to take care of defense at home.
Oh,
leave it up to Elizabeth.
But the troops, did he give them spiked gloves too? I feel like that'd be
And they're
one hell
just
of a way
no
to fight.
guns or anything, just slapping each
Slapping
other.
people.
Get the fuck.
Yes, I love that. She supposedly intervened on behalf of a woman whose husband was captured by the Ottomans, and this woman's daughter was R-worded and impregnated, which, good for her. She stopped that, but, she did other stuff in her free time that kind of contradicts that.
Yeah.
She's not been redeemed.
Yeah, no. For fun, Elizabeth would restrain young girls, cover them in honey, and watch them get attacked by, like, bees, flies, wasps, mosquitoes. Yeah.
I could be okay with bees. I like bees. But,
Yeah.
like, anything else, I'm going to pass.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like honeybees aren't mean unless you're mean to them, but like
Yeah.
They're just, like, going to
wasps,
sit
I
there
don't
and
know.
vibe.
Like, I just want to know, did she just sit in a chair and, like, watch this happen?
How did they not attack her? That's
Yeah,
my question.
yeah,
They didn't
yeah.
have, like, they didn't have, like, beekeeper
True.
uniforms or anything back then. So, like,
I don't know.
I feel like she might have stood behind like a metal kind of partition, like kind of metal bars or something,
Yeah,
maybe.
but
So
to
they would
be
still
able to
fight-
get through.
Yeah, but like there was some kind of.
They were just like, oh, guess we can't come in.
Well, no, like the cells, like where it has the little like door that kind of
Oh,
opens.
yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that, maybe.
Okay, and, like,
Yeah.
they made, like, a screen kind of thing. With
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, that
or
makes
like
sense.
she just closed it, like when they would try to come in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
But we will get into all of her torture methods later on in this. We're just going to continue with the story. Elizabeth's aunt, Clara Bathory, soon introduced her to orgies and a circle of witches and alchemists.
I like that.
Yeah, she was also rumored to be bisexual or a lesbian.
Slay.
Yeah, so
Queen.
slay. I don't necessarily know if she was a good person or not, but I want to assume that she was. So
Yeah, she just got,
slay. We love Clara.
Yes.
Maybe.
Kind of like brainwashed, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, in the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
witches, the men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clara ended up being R-worded by a bunch of men from the Turkish Empire, and they slit her throat afterwards. So rest in peace, Clara.
Rip.
Yeah,
Queen.
we loved
Love
you.
her.
Yeah.
Rip Miss Girl.
Iconic.
Okay, so in 1602, rumors of Elizabeth's heinous actions had begun to spread around the empire. Rumors claimed that she would kill the girls sent to the castle to learn court etiquette. Have you guys seen the show, what is it called? Bridgerton?
Yeah,
I
Bridgerton.
believe.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
might be thinking of the wrong one. It's one of those, like, old Victorian type shows. But, like,
Yeah.
the girls that come in to, like, be the queen or whoever's in charge, her servant, and, like, she teaches them how to, like, curtsy correctly.
Yeah, be a
and, like,
lady.
yeah, pretty much.
Dance and serve food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold books on your head because that's important
Exactly.
in life.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, virgin blood was said to help retain youth and beauty, and she had been desensitized as a kid due to, like, the seizure treatments and watching people get executed and all that good stuff. But it was not until 1609 that these rumors were taken seriously when she had killed someone of higher rank. Yeah, so, like, who cares about the poor people, honestly? Let's just care about the rich woman who got killed. Anyways, she would hide and bury the bodies of her victims secretly in the church graveyards at night. Yeah.
Okay, but, like, she had to have had someone else in on this
Yes,
because she cannot be.
I will get into that.
Yeah, she cannot be carrying a whole body
Yeah.
by herself.
No,
not in
'cause-
that dress, not in those shoes.
No,
absolutely not.
No, ma'am.
Jinx.
Jinx.
Yeah, no, she actually, most of it she didn't do herself. She told her servants to do, and it was like her watching it, but it's still her action. It was her
Right.
orders. It was, it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in 1604, Frank died for reasons unknown today.
I think I know why.
I have an idea.
Yeah. We just happen to not know why he died.
Oh, that's so mysterious.
But he had lost all function in his legs before dying, so that's, like, cool for him. Couldn't walk. Yeah. Why is that funny?
I don't know. It's not funny.
I think y'all were thinking about my broken leg.
I wasn't.
All right.
But thank you for that image.
Before dying, Frank entrusted a man by the name of George, who we will talk more about later, so just keep good old George in mind.
All right.
George, love that.
He had actually eventually led to the investigation of Elizabeth, so that's very cool.
Okay.
killing servants and young girls wasn't really seen as a horrible thing for those in the upper class. Like, it was kind of normalized, you know what I mean? Like, along with public executions and all that good stuff.
Yeah. In theory, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, when she started killing people of higher ranks, she started to get, questionable,
That's a no-no.
Yeah, don't kill the rich people.
Don't do that.
Stop it. That's not nice.
They have money.
Yep. They eventually caught her in the act, finding a freshly buried corpse and a cowering servant badly beaten. But she was still alive, which is, like, good, I guess, but not good, because you'll see why later.
Oh, no.
In 1610, an investigation enforced by the King of Hungary began in many suspicious deaths and disappearances in Hungary. More than 300 people testified against Elizabeth, and her servants were convicted of the violent crimes rather than herself, which is
That's bullshit.
Lovely.
That is, like, why?
That's fucking...
Yep.
I hate that.
You knew
that's,
they
like, the worst out of all of it.
Yep. Exactly.
Elizabeth herself was never tried, despite King Matthias's wishes, who was the king at the time, who was the one who, like, wanted her to get investigated.
As he should.
Yep. Many
him.
convinced the king that such an act would damage nobility, so, like, they would be like, oh, the king wants to kill this, what were they called? This countess? Like...
Duchess?
It was either Duchess or Countess. I think it was Countess. But
Yeah, Countess sounds...
Yeah, they might be the same thing.
time,
I honestly
maybe?
have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, but a trial and execution would have caused a public scandal and led to the disgrace of the king.
I mean, I feel like the entire thing's already a scandal.
Yeah.
It can't get much worse than that.
Just add a little bit more, and I think it'll be good.
I mean, I feel like that would have
agree.
solved the whole problem. Like, everyone would have been relieved after that.
Yeah.
A public scandal. Okay.
Love
So
that.
scandalous.
And despite the overwhelming evidence and testimony against her, Elizabeth was saved from execution. She was imprisoned in her castle, but by imprisoned, that means she was just locked in a room. She was still,
Fiona type beat.
yeah, pretty much.
All right.
So she
Little
was still
tangled moment.
like given food and like she was cared for. She wasn't just in a prison cell, which is so great. We love the 1500s or 1600s. Her female accomplices, all old ladies, first had their fingers torn off with iron tongs. Yep. Her one male accomplice being less of a participant in the crimes. Like, he only did a little bit. Like, he only maybe killed one person.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
I
not
can look
as
past
bad.
that.
Yeah.
I can
I only
look
did
past
it
that.
once.
Yeah, and he was a man, so
Okay.
Yeah.
obviously. But they didn't really show him too much mercy. He was decapitated before they tossed his body into the fire. So at least
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Elizabeth herself was, like I said, locked up in a room in her own castle, where she died 4 years later. Yeah. She dies at age
old bitch.
54.
54,
Yeah.
damn, girl.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about the theories before I get into the nasty shit she did. So, as I said in the beginning, she was most likely raped as a child.
Yes.
And she was forced to have a child and forced to go through all of this traumatic stuff. Even though she had a pretty good life with, like, social status and social rank, and, she had pretty much everything she wanted, she still went through, like, the trauma of having to watch people get decapitated.
Which is definitely non-normal.
Yeah.
Plus,
No.
was it she had epilepsy?
Yeah, she had
Okay, so that could
Yes.
entail some other issues,
Exactly.
like neurologically speaking,
Yeah.
a tumor or something like that, pressing against the wrong spot of the brain
Yep.
could cause behavioral issues.
Yes.
So
They also said that she had really bad mood swings when she was a kid.
she could be bipolar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she could be bipolar, and it could have triggered at the
Yeah.
wrong moments.
And if you think about it, we don't know who impregnated her, because all of this
And theory.
sorry for that short little intermission. We had a guest.
Did you grab your popcorn? Did you grab your snacks?
Exactly.
They're not going to hear that pause. It's just going to be like a cut. But yeah,
But
go
it
get
was
your
there.
popcorn.
Yeah.
Pause it. Go back and pause it.
Exactly. But yeah, we don't know who got her pregnant, so it could have been her father, because her family was
That was
very
my first thought.
inbred at
Yeah.
the time. Like we were talking about, was not a family tree. It was most definitely a family circle. Which we don't love that.
No.
We don't.
Not at all.
Sweet home
Which that could also if it was a family member that impregnated her, it could deal with the, maybe bipolar
Yeah,
or...
definitely. Allegedly, the king owed Elizabeth a lot of money, so he pushed very hard for her demise. The king also saw her as a political threat, obviously, because she was very powerful at the time, and, a woman, coming up to you, men don't take that very, very good.
Still these days.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't appreciate that. So I could see that.
Her cousin was actually challenging the king's threat and wanted to take over, and Elizabeth was in support of this. So obviously there was a lot of tension between the king and Elizabeth, but whatever. Her imprisonment helped many people because obviously people stopped dying. So yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, so let's go to George. I forgot what happened to George. Let's see. So I do remember that she made a cake for George. That had spells and stuff in it because she was trying to kill him.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. She baked a magical poisonous cake in order to kill a rival magistrate, George, who was also the guy who arrested her, like we said earlier.
Yep.
But yes, back to the theories. Good old George. We love him. Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
Yeah. So it was not uncommon to accuse wealthy people, especially a wealthy widow, of murder, witchcraft, or sexual misconduct. So, this all could have really been exaggerated by the public. That's why I want to say a lot of this stuff that she did is all alleged. They're all rumors. None of them's 100% proven. But, it could be 100%. But obviously we don't think she's innocent. It's proven that she had done bad things. Yeah.
Right.
But now let's go on to what all she did, which I have a bunch. I have a page and a half of nasty shit she did.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Oh, give me one moment, please. Okay. Gruesome rumors.
Oh my.
Girls as young as 10 were said to be abducted by Elizabeth. She would burn them severely with hot tongs. There were also reports that she would bite part of these girls' faces off.
Martha's face.
Yummy. Yeah. No, it gets worse. It gets worse.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is major trigger warning.
Yeah.
And also she was an aristocrat, which, privilege. She was sheltered from the punishment she really deserved, but whatever. Survivors and witnesses reported severe beatings, burning, mutilation of the hands, freezing, and starving to death. She kept her servants chained up every night, so tight that their hands turned blue, and they, blood came out of their hands. She would beat them to the point to where there was so much blood on the wall and beds that they had to use ashes and cinder to soak it up. She beat a servant in Vienna so badly that her neighbors, which were monks, threw clay pots at the walls in protest. She strangled a servant to death with a silk scarf. She burned her servants with metal sticks, red-hot keys and coins, ironed the soles of their feet, and stuck burning hot iron rods into their vaginas.
Oh.
Yep. She would stab them, prick them in the mouths and underneath their fingernails with needles, and cut their hands, lips, noses, and toes with scissors.
I hate that.
She used needles, knives, candles, and her own teeth to lacerate servants' genitals.
Girl.
She would stitch their lips and tongue together if they were speaking out of turn. She made servants sit on stinging needles and then bathe with said stinging needles. During the bath, she'd push the needles into their shoulders and breasts. Had them stand in tubs of ice water up to their necks outside in the cold until they died. She would starve them, and if they got thirsty, make them drink their own urine. Force them to cook and eat their own flesh, usually their ass. That's not funny.
It's not. It's not.
I think it's just the way I said ass.
It was. I'm so sorry.
They made them eat their asses, quite literally.
Human centipede.
Or make
Stop.
sausages. Oh God, please spare me from that image.
Sorry.
God.
It's already happened.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Or she would make sausages from human flesh and serve it to guests. She would heat up a cake to red hot temperatures and make a servant eat it.
I don't understand how you would do that.
See, when I read it, it all said a cake, but I don't think it means like a cake, like
Yeah.
like an actual
what
birthday
we think
cake.
of a
kind
cake. I think it was something else.
Probably
Yeah.
something like harder, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a bread.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
probably.
bread. There you go.
She would cast magic spells to summon clouds filled with 90 cats to torment her enemies. Which, like, good for her. We love that. Cats. She had an ongoing affair with some guy named Ironhead Steve. Yeah, that was his real name.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like birth certificate name.
I'm pretty
On
sure
your
they
driver's
didn't have
license
birth
name?
certificates or driver's license.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you. Do you know why I pulled you over?
Because of my head.
I wonder why they called him that.
We just all made eye contact with Sydney.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a pun intended.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She stuffed 5 servants' corpses underneath of a bed and continued to feed them as if they were still alive. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Me neither.
Like stuffing them under the bed, that's not good. But feeding them after they're dead, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
That's a little gross.
I agree.
Did she sleep on the bed?
I
Or
don't
did
know.
other people
That
sleep
is a
on the
great
bed?
question.
Maybe it was like a guest room.
I mean, she lived in a castle, so there were probably
imagine
like a lot of rooms.
Imagine like, a king or something coming over from another castle and he's like, What's that smell?
That's so pungent.
It smells like a rotting corpse. I don't know, why are we in sync?
God, I love that.
Oh goodness.
I already mentioned this before, but she would bite the shoulders and breasts and arms and legs of these victims, and their genitals. The intimate nature of Elizabeth's attacks suggests a sexual motivation, though it is
Sexual gratification.
yeah.
Which nowadays, is, I guess, the FBI is like determined that that's like pretty much the cause of serial killing.
Yeah.
yes.
They do it for either playing God or sexual gratification.
Yeah.
Which I guess would make sense if she
I
had
agree.
like an obsession with the genitals and stuff.
Yes.
And like humiliating her victims and,
Yeah.
and watching,
And she was said to be in an orgy, and her aunt was bisexual and a lesbian, so like she was probably also bisexual and
Right.
had
Yeah.
interest in these young girls.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said, this doesn't justify any of it.
No.
But she was sexually abused as a child, and
Yes.
that was seen as normal for her. So yeah, and not making any excuses. What she did was
No.
horrible, but it's just a little background, I guess.
A reason why, if you will.
Yes.
yeah, possibly the reason.
Some fun facts is that she inspired the story of Dracula, which was pretty cool.
Go her.
Yes,
Yeah.
and most of the claims against her were started after she had died, so we never will really know what actually happened.
Right.
If all of these things were just rumors or if she actually did it. Either way, it's horrible, and
Whoever came up with those rumors, like, damn.
yeah, I agree.
You got an imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like a time, like the movie, like The Crucible, there was a time where witches were literally so common.
Yeah.
And they would get blamed like for being a witch if you had like spoiled
Yeah,
milk in
yeah.
your fridge and stuff.
Definitely. No, that's why a lot of historians are saying that she probably didn't do all of the stuff that people claim she did. It was because she was a witch and I don't want to say a swinger, but like she was part of an orgy. So that was obviously very looked down upon.
Yes.
But her status and her wealth definitely contributed to the mercy that they gave to her.
And how long
essentially.
it like went on.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it still recording? Yeah. Sorry, my power flickered, so that's lovely.
Are we good? Is it mine now?
Oh, yep.
I think we're ready for
Elizabeth is
Sydney.
done.
Yeah.
But to close that out, fuck Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you dumb fucking aristocrat. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So I did mine on the family axe murder house. It's a really famous location in Iowa. So on June 10th in 1912, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this the right way, but Villisca, Iowa, 2 adults and 6 children were found brutally murdered in their beds. That morning, Lena and Ina Stillinger left for church for the early Sunday service and this children exercise thing that had been planned. They originally were going to spend the day with their grandmother, but they were invited by Catherine Moore to stay at the Moore family house instead. After church, approximately 9:30 p.m., the Moore family and the Stillinger sisters walked home and arrived by approximately 9:45 to 10 p.m. The next morning, the Moore's neighbor was folding laundry at approximately 5 a.m. and noticed the Moore family wasn't awake and doing their chores. Because, I mean, like, back then, everyone woke up before the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
So, she waited until, like, 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Her name was Mary. To approach the house and found it to be completely silent. She tried to open the door, but she couldn't get it open because it was locked from the inside. So she called Ross Moore, which is Josiah's brother, which is the man of the house. So I guess I probably should have gave some background on that, but oh well. So for some reason, he checked the windows and then yelled, and then he opened the door.
Okay.
Which is a little weird, in my opinion. Like, just
agree.
go ahead and unlock the door if you have the key.
Yeah.
So, he went to the first bedroom, and Mary stayed on the porch. So he went to the first bedroom, and then he seen the 2 bodies and the blood and everything, and he walked back out of the house, and Mary called the sheriff. Based on Mary's testimonies, investigators believe the murderer would have entered the home sometime between midnight and 5 a.m., which is a really big time span in my opinion, and I think Mary would have noticed someone going into the house.
Yeah.
And,
So,
like, if everybody wakes up at 5 a.m.
yeah, I would probably personally shorten it down to, like, midnight to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because a lot happened, so.
Mm-hmm.
And the only murder weapon was an axe. So, I have a whole book.
I
about
did too.
this.
It's okay.
We read and or whatever.
Yes.
Intelligent.
Yeah, we taking notes. So for the first bedroom, the one that Ross went into, they were Lena and Ina Stillinger. That was the guest bedroom in the Moore family home. And they were 12 and 8. The rest of the bodies of the Moore family were upstairs. Discovered by the city marshal Hank Horton. Josiah, which was 43, and Sarah was 39 Moore, were in their bedroom. Herman Moore was 11, Catherine Moore was 9, Boyd Moore was 7, and Paul Moore was 5. After the murders were discovered, news traveled quickly and stuff, because gossip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you know Mary said something.
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
Absolutely. She was like, oh my god.
Guess what happened last night?
Beth, guess what I found?
Let's have our tea and make our biscuits, because I have to tell you something.
Definitely.
I legitimately found a dead body.
Literally. I seen it with my own eyes. But the house was, like, overrun by people that just wanted to see the dead bodies.
What the fuck?
Oh my
I know.
god.
And it completely ruined the crime scene. Like, it was overly contaminated, and they couldn't find any, like, credible evidence.
Yeah.
So that's why it's unsolved.
Why would you let people come in?
They had to bring in the National Guard because the police literally couldn't control the crowd that was in there.
I mean, it was
Good
the same
Lord.
thing with, like, the John Bonet case. Like, they just didn't treat the crime scene correctly, and that's what made, like, it really hard for them to find the killer.
But yeah, so they discovered it at, like, I would say, like, 8:30.
Okay.
And then they didn't get the crime scene under control until 3.5 hours later, around noon. So 3.5 hours of people fucking up a crime scene, you're not gonna find anything.
Yeah, no.
So, like I said, the National Guard arrived, and I think my mic cut out for a second. But the National... What the fuck? Hello? Okay. The National Guard arrived at the crime scene, and everything was secured after that. So the known facts about the crime scene are there were 8 people bludgeoned to death, presumably with an axe, obviously, that was left at the crime scene, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would you leave it
He just
there?
propped it up against the bed. So
Decor.
all the victims were asleep at the time of the murders, so none of them really, like, had a chance to wake up.
Damn.
So he had to have been amazingly quiet.
Yeah. I mean, how are you supposed to be quiet with an axe, though,
I
if you're
don't
killing
know.
someone?
And
This makes me believe maybe it was someone in the house.
Yes. We're gonna get to that.
Oh.
Okay. So, the doctors estimated the time of death for all of the bodies to be around 12:45 to 1 a.m. Like I said.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it could have happened anywhere, like, around 4 o'clock or
I
5
agree.
o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. All windows were covered by the curtains or clothes or blankets, so no one could see inside the house. And this would have happened purposefully after the murders, so the killer had to have hung them up. All the victims' faces were covered with sheets after they were murdered. That's a sign of guilt in a killer.
Yeah, because usually
Like,
like,
they
close their
felt-
eyes and stuff.
Yeah, that's like the sexual gratification part. Like, they get the sexual gratification from killing, and then they feel bad afterward.
Yeah.
So the axe was in the Stillinger's room, which was the room downstairs.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess that he started with Josiah and Sarah first.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking, and then moved downstairs.
Yeah, because I don't want to spoil the theory. My personal theory.
I have a question, though. And I'm sorry if you said this already, but was there any, like, signs of strangulation or...
No.
No?
No.
Just axe.
Yep.
Okay.
Right in the head. Anyways, so yeah, the axe was found in the guest room with the Stillinger sisters, and it had been attempted, like, the killer attempted to clean it.
But they already had the mutilated bodies everywhere.
Sure, there were brains all over that. Like,
You're not getting that off spick and span.
Yeah. No.
yeah, and another thing is there was a 2-pound slab of bacon next to the axe.
I'm sorry,
the
what?
I don't know.
Was he
He was
cooking
hungry.
after?
I don't, but he did make himself a plate of food in the kitchen after he killed them all.
Oh. How thoughtful of him.
Uh-huh.
Like,
What? Yeah, so that
left
was
the done
nice.
bacon out.
But he didn't eat it.
I mean, you would think that if you killed somebody, you'd feel kind of sick to your stomach. So
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
then why did he make himself a plate of food?
Yeah, why did he
To
have
show that he was comfortable enough to do that, or was it like a show of intimidation?
maybe.
Maybe
I don't
he
know, I'm
wanted
confused.
to, and then like he realized what he did, and he
Yeah.
was like, I can't eat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. So the ceilings and the walls of the bedroom had gouges in it that were made by the swing of the axe. So he was swinging it so hard, he was getting it stuck in the other side of the wall.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the house that's there today, like, that still has the marks in the walls and stuff.
my
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Can you
So-
visit it?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Wow.
We should go.
We should have a trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I
we
wonder
can
if they
figure
let us
out
stay
who
the
did it.
night.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
We could stay the night in the attic.
You can stay in the attic.
That's fine. I think this is all you, Sydney.
Okay, that's fine. So as far as evidence goes, like, things that the killer would have left behind, there's a piece of a keychain, that was broken. It was in the floor downstairs in the bedroom next to the girl's bed. There was a pan of bloody water, and a plate of uneaten food by the kitchen table.
What year is this again?
Like 1912.
Okay.
I was about to say, because they should have checked for fingerprints, but I don't think they had
No,
that
no.
technology.
Yeah,
then.
they
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
into that later. So Lana and Ina showed signs of a struggle, which makes sense because they were I'm gonna assume that they were the last ones to be killed because they were
Yeah.
downstairs and that's where he left the axe. And trigger warning again. Lana's body had been moved 1/3 of the way down the bed, one leg kicked out with a bloody knee and a bloody elbow. She also had no undergarments and her dress was pulled up, but no signs of sexual assault. Humiliation, I'm gonna assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, the 2-pound slab of bacon, I have no reason why that was there. It was just there. Like,
Can't tell you, bro.
I don't know if it was like if it meant something like symbolic or
Yeah,
I have
I
no
don't
clue. But it was just
Yeah.
like hanging out by the axe. The upstairs bedroom, Sarah's shoe was found on Josiah's side of the bed with blood on it. The police said that they think that the shoe was at the bottom, like close to the bottom of the bed. And then when he killed Sarah, the blood splattered into the shoe, and then on his way around the bed to kill Josiah, he knocked the shoe over and it splattered all across the floor.
Ooh.
Oh.
So that was nice. And over 100 years later, the murder remains unsolved. No one knows who did it, but there are theories.
Okay.
Let's hear the
Yeah,
theories.
let's hear that.
I want to hear your theories first.
Okay.
Go ahead, Leah.
So, a little recap for me. Who was left alive after?
No one.
Nobody?
No one.
Everyone was
of them were
murdered.
dead.
Okay. Do we think this is a stalker situation? My tummy growling.
I feel like
I don't.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't understand why somebody would just walk into a random house and then kill the entire family. And he made food, which I feel like it could be like a little role play thing in his head. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe he, like, you know, like I said, the role play, he was going in there, he killed all these people and then pretended like he was a part of the family, which may have been
Yeah.
why the skirt was pulled up, like he was playing house with like
Yeah.
the dead victims.
Okay.
Which, you know, this was so long ago, we're never going to know who actually did this unless
Yeah.
somebody comes forward, which they're probably dead. So,
Right.
Yes.
yeah.
What about you?
So now that you're saying the whole thing about playing house, I do probably think that it might have been a stalker. Somebody who may have been jealous of the family, kind of wanted to get at the family, maybe. Because, you know, everybody probably woke up at the same time. The whole neighborhood probably knew each other, maybe.
Right.
So it might have been, they might have been an outsider. Like, maybe not many people went forward with them, didn't really like them.
But the thing is that they never moved. Like, they've been there the whole time.
Yeah,
That's
like,
where they grew up.
yeah, that's where they grew up. But, like, you know, in the classic horror movies, there's always that person that I'm going to be people like because they just look different or something.
I could
kind of like
see
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That I feel like that could be a possibility.
Yeah, so I feel like they might have been wanting to be a part of the family, and, you know, they might have seen the house a couple times or, like, wanted to get into what the family had.
Oh, so like the killer's the outsider?
Yeah, the killer's the outsider.
I thought you were talking about the family. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But okay,
No.
like I vibe with that.
I feel like the killer's the outsider and wanted to be a part of a family.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
that's why, like, they went in, they made themselves food, they, you know, brutally murdered everybody.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with
Like-
that.
Yeah, I just feel like it might have been kind of an outsider situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned earlier, there's an attic in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a theory from investigators that went through the house long after the crime had happened. Like almost everyone had passed away, and they found damage to the house that suggested that the person never entered the house while the Moores were in there to begin with. The theory is that he'd been stalking them and then hid upstairs in the attic until they were all asleep.
Oh
I see
my
that.
God.
And so that way no one would hear the door, there would be no signs of a break-in, nothing like that. The front door was locked from the inside, so he couldn't have gotten out. Okay.
Maybe he just locked the door on the way out. He was like, I'll keep them safe. After they're already
He just
dead.
opens the window and, like, reaches his arm through.
Yeah. So like another part of my theory, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone ruined the crime scene. Do you think he was in on that? Do you think he was around?
Because
Oh my God.
they do say that
Killers
the
will go
killers will
back
come
to the
back.
crime scene.
Yeah, so
Yeah. I think that after like people were going into the houses, he was like, fuck it, why not?
yeah.
Like, and went back in there to see all the dead bodies, because the dead bodies were just laying there out in the open and everyone was looking at them, so it wouldn't have been weird.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been like, you're the single out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
And so like either he's seen other people touching stuff and everything, so he was like, oh, I'm gonna touch it so I can say I touched it while everyone else was touching it, so that's why my fingerprints and stuff are on there.
yeah.
But they didn't really do fingerprints back then, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, they could not get singled out for it.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's a little suspicious that Josiah's brother was like, oh, let's call out for them.
Yeah.
After Mary was like, you know, well, they've not been up for like 2 hours. They wake up at 5 o'clock and it's like 7:30.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing? But that's just my opinion. I don't think, there's not really a whole lot of evidence saying that Ross did it.
Yeah.
And I don't really think that he did it either.
I don't either.
I don't.
But I just think that I do believe the attic theory. Like,
definitely.
Yeah. I
that
could see
makes a
it.
lot of sense to me.
Yeah, especially if there's no signs of like forced entry or anything
there
like
wasn't.
that.
Or that
And-
makes me believe that he already knew the Moore family
Yeah.
and he had like a key or something.
Yeah, like maybe he was trusted.
Was there
Yeah.
like a landlord situation?
No, they
No?
owned the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely think it was somebody that wanted to be closer with the family, which is why maybe he was, I don't want to say living in the attic, but maybe he came in and out and he would like stalk the family and wanted to be a part of it. Like, do we know if they were a happy family? Like, were they like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They went to church. They were really, you
Yeah.
know, did
Very
chores
together.
typical, like,
Yeah.
nuclear family, you know?
Yeah.
They had chickens. That's...
That's a fun time.
It was the chicken. Bok, bok, motherfucker.
I'm getting tired of this.
Keeping me in the cage, stealing my children.
But yeah, any other theories or anything?
No, I kind of do agree on the attic theory.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like that
that's,
makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And that paired with another theory, with actual evidence.
Yeah.
So, top of the list, we're going to start with suspect number 1. A state senator for Iowa. Yep. It's always... I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get political on here.
It's an authority figure.
Was
Well,
he
go ahead.
the Republican?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
I was going to say it's always the Republicans,
Yeah.
but I don't want to get political on here. So, the state senator, Frank F. Jones. So, Josiah Moore worked for him at one of his stores for several years, and then Josiah opened his own. And I guess Frank was really upset about that. And it's also thought that Josiah had an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law.
Ooh. Oh, buddy.
Right? So, William Mansfield was paid by Frank F. Jones. He was already a known serial killer. This is just a theory, allegedly. He was also known as George Worley and Jack Turnbog. He was supposedly a cocaine addict, and he had already committed multiple murders.
How is this man's not in jail?
Yeah.
Poor police investigation.
Valid.
Oh.
Yeah, lack of
Okay.
evidence.
So how do we
Yeah.
know that he's a serial killer?
Because he's been investigated. Like, it all lines up, but
Yeah.
like, you have to have specific evidence in court to be officially
Oh yeah, no, I get that.
the
I get that.
crime. But
And it's a lot
past-
harder when you don't have DNA and
it's
shit like that.
past
Yeah.
speculation. Like, everyone knows that he's
Yeah.
done it. It's just they can't get him for it.
Yeah.
you know? But it was thought that William was also responsible for the axe murder of his family, 4 victims in that. It was his wife, his infant, a child, and his mother-in-law and someone else, I can't remember. 2 years after the Moore Stillinger murder. Okay?
Okay.
It was committed the exact same way the Moore family murder was committed.
Huh.
A little suspicious.
Yeah.
So that was like, he used the axe, everyone was asleep, covered up the faces, covered up the windows, pan of bloody water, a plate of food, and he was gone. So I think that's it. But I think the attic theory stays true to that. Yes. Like, definitely.
I agree.
Because I forgot to mention this, but William Mansfield was part of the military. So I feel like he would definitely know how to get into someone's house
And stay
like,
quiet.
Yeah.
So, it's thought that William wore gloves. Military.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
yeah.
how to hide that shit.
Yeah.
While committing the crimes, the Moore Stillinger crimes, and his family afterward, as to not leave any biological evidence or anything like that, because he knew that his fingerprints were on file at the federal military prison.
Oh.
So
okay.
he's been to prison before.
Yep.
I wonder why.
I wonder why, sir.
And he was arrested in 1916, but was released on lack of evidence. And then he sued Wilkerson, which was the detective that investigated the Moore Stillinger case. Sued him for over $2,000, which back then
Damn.
was like
A lot of money.
Yeah, an incredible amount of money. But it's believed that Senator Jones provided pressure to the court to release him and arrest Reverend Killie, which I'll get to that in a second. But I think that really checks out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, that, we've got motivation. Someone that's a cocaine addict and already knows how to kill people, already has an arrest record.
Yeah.
Could definitely see it.
I agree.
And like, we don't have a picture to put up, but if you've seen a picture of him, yeah, he did it.
I'll get a picture of him.
Yeah, you do that. But it was really crazy. Like, that whole idea is, but I feel like that's valid for that time.
I agree.
Yeah, like, I feel like it all checks out.
Okay, suspect number 2, Reverend George Killie. He was a traveling preacher. Excuse me, that was my med alarm. He had settled with his wife in Madonia, Iowa in 1912, the year that they were murdered. His presence in Villisca, he was only there that Sunday morning. So when they went to church, he was a traveling preacher. He was at the event, blah, blah, blah. And then he left early the next morning. Suspicious. But that made him a prime suspect because apparently we only go on times of the day now.
Maybe him and Moore were lovers and they did it together and then cooked a nice little meal.
I was about to say he's a preacher, but that doesn't really say anything, does it?
I was about to say.
In 1917, he was arrested and charged for at least one of the murders, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because if he would have committed one, he had to have committed all of them.
Exactly.
But, okay. Which makes his confession kind of odd, because he confessed. He pled guilty.
Wow.
And apparently, according to the newspapers of the time, his confession was a complete mockery of the law enforcement.
Oh, shit.
So it's believed that he was pressured, hint, wink, if you know what I mean, into providing a confession so they could close the case.
Damn.
Oh, they
Yeah.
basically said, I want to get it done.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really surprise
But later,
me.
later, he was acquitted by the second jury, so the case was reopened because of poor investigation. So, poor George. That's a recurring name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there's another theory that it could have been a passing serial killer that was in the Midwest at the time. Henry Lee Moore, which is not related to the Moore family at all. But there was really no strong evidence that proved that, because it was like the killing style was completely different.
Damn.
So,
Yeah.
but it's a possibility because he was in the area at the time. But I think it's the first one.
I think so, too.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I think that they could have pinned it on Killie
Yeah.
because he was just passing through,
I agree.
and it was like opportunity kind of.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very good stories.
but it's still unsolved.
Still
Yeah.
unsolved.
Yeah. I feel like this should be a series where we
I
all
agree.
get together and we discuss one case.
I agree.
Yeah, I would like that.
And I feel like at one point we should all like try to tackle Jack the Ripper.
I agree.
Yes,
Like
because that's a weird case.
Yeah, we should all do our research and then we should come together and
Yeah.
kind of like create a theory.
Yeah.
And we're gonna stick to that theory.
The query.
Yeah.
The query.
Yeah. And also our the podcasts are going to get better as time goes on.
Yeah.
We're just starting out doing this. This is literally our second time, as you guys know. So I apologize for the interruptions and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We're
I
getting
mean, we're
better.
doing all of this in like one take per episode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, because this isn't scripted.
No.
Nope. Whatever
so-
comes out of our mouths is what it is.
Yeah. It's going through our brain at the same time. We have no filter.
I agree.
So we have a couple of minutes left. Do you want to discuss?
Let's discuss.
Let's
Yes.
discuss.
All right.
Discussion is in.
So we are going to now be talking about the ways that we would rather die and the ways that we would rather not die.
Yeah, I feel like that's a topic everyone secretly talks about and just
Yeah.
doesn't talk about it.
So
you
we're
know?
gonna talk
We're gonna
about
talk
it.
about
Yeah,
it.
we're opening up that door for you guys.
All right.
Number one, I don't want to die by fire.
Me neither.
That scares me.
Yep.
No.
And like we were talking about the other day, getting buried alive.
No.
That's a
I don't
big
like
no-no.
that.
I'm gonna have a belt at the top of my grave so I can
Exactly.
ring that shit.
Yeah. I like that idea. I
Um,
feel like my ghost would like ring it for fun.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say, and once again, trigger warning, my preferred way to be killed would probably just be like a gun to the head. Like I want it to be one and done. Like I don't want to feel anything.
Coward.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You know what?
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I can't keep my mouth
But
shut.
My dad knew somebody that tried to commit suicide by drowning, and apparently he said that it was the most peaceful thing ever. Like he
That's
just
a
walked
fucking
out
lie.
into the ocean and he just started breathing in water and died. But if you think about it, if you're suicidal and you know
I could see that.
you want to
Yeah.
die and you're like, just let me go out in the
Take
ocean.
me.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but I've heard, I guess it's been proved by science that drowning is the most painful way to die.
Damn.
Well,
because it
'cause-
takes longer for you to die.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like your body is trying to like resist it because you know, like I'm not
I feel like
supposed
your
to be
body.
breathing this
I
in.
feel like your body would resist any way of dying.
Well, what he could have done, instead of like breathing in the water, he might have held his breath until he literally passed out.
yeah, I feel like
which
that's probably.
that would be like, I feel like that would be sort of soothing in a sense. Like I know it hurts when you hold your breath.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he said that he just like faded out.
Yeah.
But then like someone pulled him out, which
Yeah.
is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And with your body, like, you know, trying to resist in any way of like dying, it's also the fact of like
The
if you're
instinctive
trying-
breathing.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're trying to do it, then like you know you're not supposed to be doing it, but
Mhm.
it just feels
Yeah.
right to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would also not want to be stabbed.
I would want to be stabbed.
Apparently it like just burns throughout your body.
I think about the feeling of getting stabbed and I want to throw up.
That's valid.
And I've heard from people that have gotten stabbed that it's like the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. Well, if I'm gonna die, I want to go out with a bang. No pun intended. Like, I want it to be dramatic. My ideal way to die, I think, would be one of two things. Both involve impalement. I would either want to be stabbed, or I have this odd fantasy. Trigger warning: I'm mentally ill. Driving in a car, getting in a car crash, and being impaled by a metal pole. I don't know how that's gonna happen.
Final Destination type beat.
Yeah, kind of. But like sitting in the car
Okay.
and just dying after
Yeah.
it's happened. Like I feel like it'd be like, oh well, guess what just happened? You know?
Yeah.
Because like I don't know. I want it to be dramatic for me.
Yeah.
Not for really anyone else, not for the news story, but like I want my ghost to be like, I did that.
Like the thought of death doesn't scare me really at all.
Me neither.
But I also feel like that'll change when you're in the circumstance. You know what I mean? Like when you know
Yeah.
that you're dying and it's like, shit, I'm dying. Like,
That didn't really
Yeah.
happen for me.
yeah.
No. After I got my results from the MRI, surprise, you didn't have to wait that long. I'm the one with the brain cyst. But when they told me, like, hey, you might die, I was like, okay, cool. Like, swag. I love that.
See, and like that's like what with me. I kind of want to die in my sleep, but like
Okay,
it's
I could
also-
see that.
So like apparently when you die, your memories start like going through.
Right, yeah.
And,
the
like,
flash before.
Yeah, it's the flash before you
I
just
see my
pass
life
on.
flash before my eyes.
And so I feel like that would just be like a calming way to go because I know I'm not hurting. I know I'm not in pain. But if I want to get like
You could
know,
be dead now.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Let's
Shut
not,
up.
Let's not make me. What's the word? Not dissociate. Yeah, I guess dissociate is the word. Or like, I don't know.
Something.
But if I
Yeah.
really wanted to get fancy with it, I want to get impaled by a meat hook.
Yes.
I just want to get
like
hung
an
up
episode
there.
of SpongeBob.
Dead by daylight.
Oh,
Jeez. No, I just want to like get just hung up there and just be like on display
Yes.
and just like wait for myself to either get just cut in half by it or just sit there until I bleed out.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
vibe with that.
Yeah.
I vibe with that.
Why not?
I would want to be put on display. Like I said, not really for the news story or like shock value or anything, but just because like I would want that.
I don't think I would at all. But before I forget,
Okay.
I don't think I would want to die in my sleep, only because what if you get like stuck in the dream you're having, and like what if you have a horrible
That's
dream,
scary.
and then like
Because I feel
don't
like
wanna-
like your body responds to things that are
Yeah.
like in the physical world while you're dreaming.
It's like a loop.
So like if you're dying,
Yeah.
your body's gonna know that it's dying. So you're
Exactly.
obviously not gonna be having
like your brain's gonna be like,
I don't like this very
let's
much.
remix the story a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the remix.
I was about to say it's the remix.
It's a remix.
Doja.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like we should do this really more often.
Yeah.
I definitely think this should be a series.
Cut my life into pieces.
This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort.
We should probably cut that out.
Into pieces. I reached my last resort.
Suffocation, no breathing.
Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding.
Do you even care if I die bleeding? Would it be wrong? Would it be right? If I took my life tonight, chances are that I'm right.
Okay.
Let's cut that out.
Alright, we're signing out, guys. I'm Martha.
I'm Leah,
I'm Sydney.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Yeah.